Hey guys, this is going to be another quick Linux command video. Check the link in the description for more info and for copy and paste examples. The Linux mpstat command is used to report CPU related stats. So it works great with multiprocessor systems, and the mpstat command is part of the sysstat package, so you're going to want to make sure that's installed. It may or may not be installed on your distro by default, but check the link in the description for commands for different distributions, whether it be Red Hat, SUSE, Gentoo, or whatever else. And you'll see up here I already installed it, sudo apt install sysstat. I didn't really need sudo since I was logged in as root already. If you're not root, just use sudo. So anyways, the basic syntax for mpstat would be mpstat, and then you're going to type the interval and the count. So like maybe you want it to report every 3 seconds and do this 4 times, right? So yeah, so interval, how often it's going to print out a report, and how many reports it's going to print out. So just hit this and it gives you a little header, and here you see it's printing out reports, and it's going to continue on like that for a little while. So yeah, there you go. That is see here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 reports 3 seconds apart, right? And you can see the timestamp here, 3 seconds apart. Now, if you were to type it without any parameters like this, it's just gonna run once, right? Now, if you could tell it to run 1 second apart like this and don't specify the number of times to repeat, and then it's just gonna keep repeating forever. So, every 1 second, it's gonna keep repeating. And yeah, so what else do I want to show you? Yeah, so single report, repeat however many seconds you specify, and yeah, yeah. So that's the basic usage. Now, by default, it's going to give you the CPU report, and there's an option. So default is CPU report like this, and if you do a -u, -u is for CPU report. That was already the default anyway, so you don't really need that. Now, if you want the NUMA and the CPU report, you could do -NU, and that's going to give you a CPU report right here and a NUMA report. So NUMA related stats right there. So it basically just tells you the node that it's on right here, and the CPU here. And you'll notice it is telling you all CPUs and all nodes. Now, the other thing you can do with this, you can specify, if you're specifying U for CPU report, you can combine that with a -P for, say, -P all, and that will include all of the CPUs. So run it like this. Now, notice for this just printed one report, but it gives you all right here, and then it gives you individual CPU cores. So this is an 8-core system. So each core, it shows you the performance for it and all the stats for it, right? And so you could, let's see here. Say if we wanted to print this out every 1 second, it's going to repeat that report for each CPU core every 1 second until you hit Control C, right? So then we can, what else do we want to show you? So the other thing for the NUMA report, you can do a similar thing. If instead of CPU, you wanted to do N for NUMA, and you wanted to, and actually before I show you that, you could actually just say N for NUMA, and it's going to give you the NUMA report without the CPU report. But if you, instead of for CPU, you do a -P all. For NUMA, you do a -N all. And this is going to give you all NUMA nodes. So on this particular system, it shows you all, and then it shows you the individual NUMA nodes. I only have a single NUMA node on this system. For much larger systems, you might have more. On this system, I don't. So what else? So next we have, so you could do, if you wanted to combine CPU and NUMA, you would say something like this. So you say NU, lowercase n, lowercase u for NUMA and CPU. And then you're going to do a -N all and a -P all. So you're going to specify all CPUs and all NUMA nodes. So it's going to give you both of those reports every time it runs, and it's going to give you, which is just once in this case, it's going to give you, I have a bunch of cores, only a single NUMA node, but that's how you'd specify all of them for each. So there's that. Now, another thing you can do is interrupt statistics. This is a whole nother rabbit hole to go down that I haven't looked into very deeply, but you could say dash capital I and all like this, mpstat dash capital I all, and this gives you some, some nice interrupt stats right here, right? So that's all fine and great. Next thing I would want to show you is specifying topology, right? So you could say, CPU report dash p all, that same old command, and we can specify a dash capital T, and this is going to yeah, so I made this terminal a little bit bigger than it should be, but a little bit too zoomed in, but you get the idea. It'd be a little bit neater if I zoomed out. I just have this zoomed in a lot for this video, but you can see it gives you information like CPU, core, socket, and node. So it gives you all that information, which on more complicated systems, so that's a little bit more useful on more complicated systems. It's a little bit less useful on a small 8-core system like this one. So let's see, what else can you do? You can also do an mpstat dash capital A like this. So capital A, and that is basically going to combine a bunch of things together. It combines lowercase n, lowercase u, uppercase I, and it does all. It does all for all of them. So this would be the same thing as giving you these options right here. So it's going to give you NUMA, CPU, and interrupt statistics, and it's going to give you all of them for every for every CPU and every NUMA node, right? So instead of typing all of that out, if you wanted everything, you can just do a dash capital A, and you're going to get all of that stuff. So it's a lot of stuff, especially considering all this junk for the interrupt stuff. So yeah. Anyways. So another nice thing you can do is JSON output. This is great if you're using a script to run this and to collect stats. So you can say mpstat -o JSON. This will give you a nice little JSON report. So you can parse this easily with a script. And you could also say, like -u -p all. This will give you all the CPUs. So you can see they're all, the CPU load for all of these are all listed out in this nice, easily parsable set of JSON. So this is kind of even more useful for this. Great for scripts. So those are all the examples I wanted to show you. And if you want a list of the options, just check the link in the description, obviously. And what else? So fields and keywords. So yeah, in the output, anywhere where you see all, like for example, if you see the word all right here, for example, so anywhere you see that, it generally just means the average. It means the average across CPUs or nodes. So if you're doing a NUMA report, it's the average across all NUMA nodes. If it's CPU, it's the average across all CPUs. So for example, like that. So you see each of these has an individual value, and if they're all averaged up, that's what this all means. Now let's cover some of these values here. So for example, mod USR. So obviously this is the CPU, right? And then you have a timestamp here. So USR, so modulus USR shows the percentage of CPU utilization at the user level or application level. And NICE is going to show you the percentage of CPU utilization at the user level with nice priority, and modulus sys over here. So that is going to show you the percentage of CPU utilization at the system or kernel level, but not counting interrupts. So IO wait over here. So IO wait is going to show you the percentage of time the CPUs were idle with an outstanding disk IO request, right? And then IRQ up here, this guy right here, is going to show you the percentage of time spent by the CPU or CPUs to service hardware interrupts. Now, soft is going to show you the percentage of time spent by the CPU or CPUs to service software interrupts, right? So you got your hardware interrupts and your software interrupts, right? Now for steel, this is one's kind of an interesting one. It will show the percentage of time spent waiting while the hypervisor was servicing another virtual CPU. So on a VM, this could be a useful stat to be aware of, right? So guest is going to show you the percentage of time spent by the CPU or CPUs to run a virtual processor. Now, gnice over here, this last column here, shows the percentage of time spent by the CPU or CPUs to run a nice guest. And idle percent, so that's just idle where it's doing nothing, so it shows the percentage of time where the CPU or CPUs were idle and not waiting on I/O. So just idle and not waiting on I/O, that's this percentage of the time. So like 95% of the time for all of these, right? Now, yeah, so for topology, so let's see if we get that with the -T here. So yeah, and it's a little bit too much output. This looks neater if it's smaller, but any case, I want to keep this sized right for I'm just watching this one window with OBS and it's a bit of a pain to resize it. But any case, yeah, so CPU, core, sock, and node. So generally the core is the logical core number. And let's see here. So the sock logical socket number and node is the logical NUMA node number, right? So what else? Not a whole lot else that's super important. Let's see here. Let's try a capital I. I'm just going to cover the output of this real quick. And hold on one second here. So we have got, yes, I need to specify all here. Now, for this, we have, yeah, so yeah, specifying all, and all right, so the CPU is going to, obviously just be individual interrupts received per second by the CPUs. So, if you want the interrupt list, you can check proc interrupts. And yeah, so individual interrupts received per second per CPU. So each of these CPUs, how many interrupts per second it's getting. Now, SCPU, where are we? Yeah, and some. All right. So, anyways, disregard all of that. So, yeah, I think this is basically everything I really wanted to cover. I'm not really getting into that much depth with the interrupts. So maybe that's something for another day. But this is basically, all the basics I wanted to cover for the mpstat command. That should get you up and running and make you somewhat competent with it. So yeah, that's about it for today for this command. Remember, check the links in the description for more info. Hit the subscribe button for more useful content like this. We also have a ton of other more interesting content covering things like coding, hardware, software, servers, Raspberry Pis, 3D printing, and a whole lot more. Hopefully you found this useful. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on that next video.